with the boy Mark the Mentor. Are you ready to take your trucking business to the next level? With Trucks.pro, you get access to the best load board in the game, giving you the tools to find higher paying loads and streamline your operation. And right now, you can try the Pro plan free for 30 days, a $159 value. Click the link in the description to claim your free Pro plan and start making smarter moves for your trucking business today.
Warning: the following content contains strong language and may not be suitable for children. This content is primarily for adults as this is a trucking channel and truckers have filthy mouths. Please don't tweak if I say viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Make sure you guys come on in, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on all post notifications. How's everybody doing this afternoon? Happy Monday. What's today? The 30th. We got 40 people in here. We got 31 likes. All right, we off to a good start. Got one more day in 2024, and then we got 2025. Some people waiting for 2025 to start that clean slate. Somebody said the other day on one of the streams, I don't know if it was a stream I was on Saturday or Friday, like, man, we get a clean slate next week. Listen, why wait for tomorrow what you can start today? You know, if it's something that I want to do, I never say, all right, well, you know, I'm gonna get in the gym in 2025. No, just go to LA Fitness or go to UFC or World's Gym or whatever local gym that you got and sign up and start working out the same day. Why put off to tomorrow what you can start today? When you put off tomorrow, that means you make an excuse for you to be, you know, to procrastinate, or you making an excuse for you to continue the bad behavior of eating bad or not exercising or whatever it is you doing. You know what I'm saying? When I think of things that I want to do, you know, goals that I want to accomplish, I don't prolong them. It's just like me saying, you know what? I'm going to try to stream at least 5 days a week. When I decided that I wanted to try to stream at least 5 days a week, I started to implement. I didn't say, all right, well, starting December or starting January, I just did it. And it became just started. I started literally that same day or that next day. So, you know, it is what it is. Like, if it's something in your mind that you want to do for your business, if you're waiting for Wednesday to start it, you got to change that mindset. You know, you need to get that shit going today. Shout out to Don Solo. What's going on? Shout out to everybody from the crib. Shout out to Carlos. Carlos says, good afternoon, Mr. Mark. I just wanted to say thank you for all the hard work you do on this platform. Every time you come up to stream, keep it up, man. You are doing a great job. Appreciate you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Checking in from Miami. Appreciate you. Shout out to everybody that's representing MIAO. Shout out to St. Louis representing St. Louis. Shout out to Rich representing the crib. It's DeWalt, Cleveland. Shout out to Beats. Who else we got? We Carry Freight. Shout out to Jay, who representing the South Side of the city. Shout out to Craig Freeman, Brick City. Who else we got? Brick City was that Newark, New Jersey? That's the Brick, right? Redman, right? Redman represent the Brick City. Is that Newark, New Jersey? Who else we got? Shout out to Andrew Green representing Jersey. Beats representing. No, he's saying Jersey. What up? All right. Shout out to Craig Freeman. Excuse me. Shout out to Jason Rowland representing the crib. Shout out to B Tellers representing Dallas. Kelvin Birch representing the crib. Shout out to Train Wreck. What's going on? Who else we got? Shout out to DDD Truckers. What up? One Rig Fishing. What up? Represent Fort Worth. Shout out to Dr. Anthony Williams representing Chicago. You said, come on, Mark. We don't prolong. Stream start late, man. Listen. It's not as easy for me like some other people to just hit go live. You know, I got a whole production going on back here. Sometimes I gotta set up, you know, I pre-set up my production at least an hour before I go live. But sometimes when I walk away from the computer, sometimes things don't go out of whack. Like for me to do this or do this, you know, these are all buttons, and every time I go live, I have to set up pre-production for this so that I know what I'm doing. I have to set it up, and then sometimes right before when I come out to the computer, sometimes some things get out of whack. You know what I'm saying? And I have to reconfigure some things. So man, just give a brother a chance, man. You know what I'm saying? It's for the free ski. Listen, we ain't. It's for the free ski. It's for the free ski. Listen, sometimes when it's for the free ski, you gotta just be cool. You dig what I'm saying? Shout out to TBs, he represent Indiana. Train Rex said he represent that 305 at MIAO. B said 973 Brick City. What's going on? That's Newark. I figured that was Newark. I used to listen to a lot of Redman back in the day. Back in the 90s, I used to listen to a lot of Redman. You dig what I'm saying? Shout out to Redman. Eric Sermon. You dig what I'm saying? Keith Murray. Some of y'all don't know, man. Some of y'all don't know, man. Shout out to Spoken represent Michigan. Ace represent North Carolina. Jink represent Louisville. Is it Louisville or Louisville? I say Louisville, like Louisville Slugger. I know, but the people down in Louisville, they say Louisville. I can't pronounce it right. Greg Freeman said, don't forget about Lords of the Underground. Shout out to the Lords of the Underground. Shout out to Brooklyn's in the house, in the building. Shout out to Milwaukee. Jay Hussein just busted, but no, it's all good. It's all good. What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? Happy Monday. All right. I didn't stream yesterday. I thought about it, but I said, man, I'm going to spend some time with my girl, man. And that's what I did. But I'm back. I got to push out some content, some shit that I got to push out before Wednesday. So I might be pushing out some shit at odd times in multitude. So don't be surprised if I stream another time today and you get a video and maybe 2 or 3 videos tomorrow before the first, because we got a commitment that we got to keep up with. So check this out. Check it out. We got 65 people. We got 40 likes. What does it start to start at 26 for Box Truck Business? Now, it's very imperative that we do this stream before the first of the year, right? Now, somebody else then came across my desk out here telling people you can start a box truck business for $5,000. This is an older gentleman, too. Older gentleman. We ain't going to say no names. You can start for a little bit of money and da-da-da-da. You can make a whole lot of money. And here's the thing. There are situations where some people can come up with the cost to start. But if you come up with just the enough money to start, you still don't have enough money. And this is where a lot of people run into issues. Now, this isn't no Debbie Downer shit. This is keeping it a buck. Like, and you could take it for what it is, but I'm entitled to my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. I don't think you can start a 26-foot box truck business with $5,000. Even if you get a rental truck, no down payment, you pay your first month, you get a low insurance, you get everything, you structure your business and everything with that $5,000. Now you out of money. So you think you started, but did you really start? I don't know. Let's take a look. We're going to talk about what do you need and the things that you need to think about, because some people don't really know what they need to start a business. All right. So let's talk about the things that you need. Let me pull up my whiteboard here. Let's blow this up. Let me get this out the way. Let me move that over there. Let's make this really big. Boom. Let me get my stylus for my pad. All right, let's see. All right, starting a box truck business. Let's say 26 foot box truck. Excuse my handwriting. Let's try this again. Let's try to make it as neat as possible. Let's see. 26-foot box truck business. Let's see if we can draw a straight line across. Ooh, bloop. All right. 26-foot box truck business. All right. So for a 26-foot box truck business, we're going to categorize our investment needs. Now, these are the things to consider when starting a box truck business. Now, your favorite people that's telling you $5,000, shout out to them. They doing what they supposed to do. They trying to get you in so that you can spend money. And there ain't nothing wrong with that, if that's what you want to do. But now a true business person is going to think about these key 4 investment needs. 1, One, cost of living. All right, we ain't gonna worry about the handwriting. All right, I don't use this thing that often. I'm gonna try to use it more often. Why do we want to think about the cost of living? Because if you quit your job, or if you're saving up money, or whatever you're doing, and you go into this box truck business, 9 times out of 10, you're going into it full time. And this is going to become the source of revenue that is going to cover your cost of living. You have to think about, what if the business doesn't start on the right track? A lot of people think when they start the business, it's going to be instant, gratification. You're going to start it and you're just going to start making money right away. They don't understand, or they don't even know something like a learning curve exists. They don't understand about building relationships. They don't understand about the what ifs. Some people come in and say, well, we ain't going to think about the what ifs. Well, you can't go into a business. You can't even really go into life. You have to prepare and plan for the what ifs. There's a numerous amount of variables that you have to consider when starting a business. And one of them is the cost of living. All right. What does it cost you to live? Can you cover it for 6 months? Can you cover it for 3 months? If you can't, then it's probably not a good investment at the current time. Now, some people, when I say this, they get upset with me. If I'm starting a business and I have $2,000 a month to pay rent, and I spend all my business, here they go, they're here right now. They just hit the thumbs down. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. Happy New Year. If you tell a person, listen, you got 5,000 or 10,000 or even 15,000, let's say 20,000, you start your box truck business and you exhaust it all. And things, let's say you do make money, but you don't make enough to sustain the business and sustain your cost of living, then what happens? Who's going to pay your rent? What normally happens is the money that's coming in for the business, people start to rob from the sustainability of business to cover their cost of living. And then what happens is the business meets some unforeseen situation, and then there's no working capital. You hear it all the time in a lot of the uh, call-in shows that I do, and a lot of the clips that I drop. You always hear a person say those magic words, man, I gotta take care of home. The business should not be taking care of home. You should be taking care of home. The business should pay you, and then whatever that you make from your paycheck is what you take care of your personal bills. A lot of people think that they are the business. They don't know how to separate themselves from the business. And then that's when, they, misappropriate funds, and then they start robbing from the sustainability business. Some people understand what they're doing, and they understand what they're doing is wrong, but they're just doing what they got to do to survive. Most people that I come across just from doing content, these past 2 almost going on 3 years, is they don't really realize it. They're ignorant. And let me cover this ignorant word, because I've talked about this ignorant word a few times last week, and there was a big um debate. And it's crazy how it was a debate Saturday about the word ignorant, when the last 2 live streams I did prior to that, one of them I actually pulled up the definition of ignorant. And I don't understand why this ignorant word, like, so many people feel like if you call someone ignorant, it's like calling them a bitch, or calling them like a derogatory word. Ignorant means this is a person that lacks knowledge in something. I'm ignorant when it comes to specific plumbing issues. There's certain things that I can do. You know what I'm saying? I know how to, you know, you know, change the float or some shit like that. I could do that. But like going behind a wall and stuff like that, I'm ignorant. I don't know nothing about HVAC. I'm ignorant. If I had to, change my garbage disposal, I'm ignorant. I don't know how to do that. So I would call somebody to come do it. If my furnace goes out, I'm ignorant. I gotta call Four Seasons or somebody. I can't go to Home Depot and buy a new furnace and put it in myself. Water boiler, all that. I'm ignorant. I accept the fact of being ignorant when it comes to certain things. Those aren't my vocation. I don't have vocation. Like, I didn't study those in vocation school. I studied carpentry. I didn't study HVAC. I didn't study auto body. I didn't study auto mechanics. I studied carpentry when I went to a vocational high school here in Chicago. But when it comes to those things, I'm ignorant. And do I feel bad about being ignorant? Absolutely not. I don't have the knowledge, so I'm ignorant. I don't understand why people get upset when you call them ignorant. Like, that don't make no sense to me. So cost of living is one of those things that you have to consider. Me personally, listen, with my cost of living, if I go out and I start a business and it consumes majority of my capital, then I know that that's a business that I shouldn't start, because what happens if I cannot recoup a lot of that money in order to be able to pay myself in the next 30 days so that I can pay my cost of living? Why would I do that? Why would I put myself out on Front Street like that? The last thing I want to do is be homeless. It's cold. It, it baffles me why people don't think about this, and the people that do think about this, it baffles me why you would take a risk, you know, like that without enough, savings to cover your cost of living for at least 6 months. It baffles me on some of the people that I talk to that have families that are willing to take these risks, like the African guy a few weeks ago with very minimal money with 3 and 4 kids. Like, that baffles me. All right. But cost of living is something that you should consider, and you should have at least 6 months. If your cost of living is $3,000 for the month, and to me, I don't know, everybody's cost of living is different. But if you got a $3,000 cost of living, then you should have about $18,000 saved up. Now, obviously, there's one person here that disagrees with me, but that's the rule of thumb. All right. So, with that one person that disagrees, that's cool. But there's people out there tell you, oh, don't worry about it. $5,000, go to the low board, you're going to make money. And then in 30 days, when those 30 days don't pan out the way you expected them to, are they going to come give you that $3,000 so that you can cover your rent, your car note, your utilities? The only thing that I do is come up here and give you things to think about and consider from a logical perspective. I'm not here to tell you what to do. You can do what you want to do. Just know life is about choices and decisions. If you go out and you make that ill-advised decision by taking very minimal money and taking that risk when you have a low risk tolerance, and things don't work for you right away, because in most cases they won't, and then in 30 days, listen, when it's all on you, I don't know, maybe some people ain't adult, but them 30 days come around real quick. It ain't like when you a kid and you ain't got real bills to pay and stuff, and you just living, and all you got to worry about is nothing. It seems like time moves slow. But when you got real responsibilities, like, them 30 days come around, even when you got bread. Even when you got bread, it's like, bro, man, God damn it, it's January 1st already again. It seemed like it was just December 1st. Time start moving real quick, don't it? If I'm lying, let me know. So you're going to start the business, you're going to spend all your money starting a business, and you just going to assume that you're going to make enough money to sustain the business and make an extra $3,000 to pay yourself that first month to cover your cost of living. But there's people that really, when I say this, they get really upset with me. I don't understand. It's crazy to me. I don't understand why things that make sense don't make sense to some people. All right, so the next thing out of the four thing investment needs that you want to consider is your initial startup cost. How much is it going to cost you to start up the business? Now, this is where the $5,000 comes in. There's a lot of people that only think about this and then they find some magical way, which there are some magical ways that some people been pulling it off, that they come up with that nickel or they come up with that seven, or they go to their favorite person, tell them a certain number, and then they do whatever they need to do to come up with that certain number, whatever it is. And once they come up with that number, they get started. I've had a bunch of people that have come up with whatever that magical initial startup cost is, and that's all they came up with, come to me directly. None of them, on everything I love, have said they came up with that number on their own. They were all coerced into a specific number from somebody, different people. And when they came up with that number, they went all in. Most of them on average didn't last 30 days. All right. The magic number always ranges somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000. I think the most expedited one I seen was a guy literally $10,000 that he didn't survive 2 weeks. I think the first week he couldn't even get a load. He was renting a truck, still had to pay the rental cost, so on and so forth, things of that nature. He didn't last 2 weeks. By the second week, he saw the way things were going. He just went on ahead and just took the truck back. That was the most recent case. The case before him was a younger guy, new family, wife didn't work. Same scenario, except he didn't have 3 and 4 kids like a lot of people that come up here. He had a newborn, wife that didn't work, or baby mama that didn't work. Same situation. He lasted a little less than 30 days. No, he lasted a little less than 30 days. Right? Same situation. He was down to his last 2,000. He actually came up on the show and he asked me what should he do in the Discord, and I told him what I would do. He still tried to fight it, but I'm like, you got $2. You robbing from the sustainability, $2. You got rent due for the truck in 3 days. You got rent due at home. Like, if you gonna ask me, do you pay the rent for the truck or do you Zelle the money to your BM at home to pay the rent, and you got a brand new newborn at the crib? I know some of your favorite people would tell him to keep thug it out, or they wouldn't even tell him that. He would go back to them and they would say, all right, man, half an hour, you gotta tap in and pay this coaching. Me, I said, bro, like, I can't tell you what to do, but let's listen to what you telling me. You got your chick is at the crib with a newborn baby. You got $2. Rent is due in a week. The truck rental is finna renew from Penske on Sunday. What you think? What you think? And there's people in here that disagree with me right now. There's literally people in here with what I'm saying that disagree with me right now. Of course, I told them, bro, pay your rent. Pay your rent. Like, I be looking for other content creators to say things like this, and I never see it. Never will I put something above a roof over my head. Never. Mm-mm. I don't care what it is. If it come down to push the business or roof, if it gets down to that, it's some levels you can push. You might still have some room to work with, but sometimes sometimes you just gotta, it's just you just gotta start over and reset. That was one of those situations where I'm like, young man, like, you really asking me this question? If it was just you to fend for it, then you would have a little bit higher of a risk tolerance, and that risk of maybe having a better week, or maybe I can help you guide you through the next week to make better financial decisions, or whatever the case may be. But when you have two other people that are living off of the income that you're out working to bring in, and one of them is not even 3 months old, like, come on, bro. Like, we this is a, like, something that we shouldn't even, like, this ain't like as a, and some of these guys that come to me, they young, they 22, they 23. So it's not even really business advice they really need. It's really advice from someone that's just older and wiser. So a lot of times when these guys come to me, it don't really be the advice of the business. I have to tell them some wise OG information or wise OG shit for just life in general. They may not have nobody to go talk to and ask these questions. So initial startup cost. All right. And all these four things that I'm listing have their own set amount of money. So initial startup costs would be added to that cost of living. So whatever it's going to cost you to start the business, you need to add that. Everybody's startup cost is going to be different. I have my thoughts on what it should cost you depending on how you're coming in and what you're going to be doing, but I'm not going to get into that this live stream. I'm just giving you the things that you need to think about. Shout out to everybody that's coming in. Make sure you guys hit that like button. All right, working capital. This is what nobody thinks about, pretty much. The majority of the people that come in, especially the people that denounce my views on the whole $5,000 thing, they don't know about working capital. They don't care about it. They think $5,000. They don't understand that you need working capital. They don't care. It's either they don't know or they don't care. And guess what? That money is going to be added to the other three. This isn't like total, like cost of living, money, 6 months at least. Initial startup, whatever your initial startup, that's going to be added to whatever that 6 months cost of living is. Working capital is going to be added to those too. Now, everybody, you can do what you want. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you how you're supposed to go about it as a business person. Some people are going to denounce it. But this is the reason why a lot of people get into trouble at the very, very beginning. I have a solution too around this, believe it or not. I have a solution around this. And I've talked about it many times, and I'll say that to the end. I have a solution around all this, but I'm going to save it to the end. Working capital. Why do you need working capital? Working capital is the tool, and each dollar are the soldiers that's going to fight the battle for you in the field. Well, Mark, what are you talking about with these analogies? Well, here's the thing. When you start, it's just like I said with the previous two things. This is why you need to have these previous two things, is you may not hit the ground running. Most people don't. And if you don't hit the ground running, who's going to cover your living expenses? Especially if you operate the first month or the first 2 months while you're trying to conquer the learning curve and figure things out, whichever lane you're in, whether it be middle mount, final mount. You might not, some of these contracts, I've had contracts in final mile where we didn't get the first settlement for 3 weeks. So if you're doing something where you're on the truck doing a final mile contract and it's you and another guy, your other guy, your helper ain't gonna wait 3 weeks. till you get the first settlement? There's a bunch of different variables. Do you have enough money? If you're renting a truck, and like a lot of people do that come in with just enough money, they think they're going to go to the load board right away and start running like that 28-year-old guy. Well, as soon as we do the first load, I'm going to get some money back and then I'll put some gas in the tank. Well, what if the first load don't go for you? That guy never been on a truck, never wanted to get on a truck. So guess what? He would have rented 3 trucks, put 3 guys out there that wouldn't have had adequate or proper training. They probably wouldn't have strapped the load down correctly if they would have strapped it down at all. And guess what? The load could have shifted. He could have had a claim. Anything could have happened. He thought it was just going to be easy peasy. Now what? This is why you got working capital. Working capital helps you fight the learning curve. It gives you a peace of mind. You have enough capital there that you're not starting your business broke from settlement to settlement or check to check. You got money. You have cash flow. A business with no cash flow, you really don't even really have a business. I don't care if you got an LLC that's active and your authority is active. If you have no cash flow, you're damn near out of business. Pretty much. So you start a business with just the cost, the initial startup cost to get started. You're already halfway. Your foot is in the door, but then your other foot is out the door already. This is why you see that 30-day turnaround. And then I ask all the new people, you see people come up that said, man, I only lasted 30 days. I only lasted 3 weeks. I don't understand when I put these case studies in front of you, you don't ask yourself why, or you don't study why, or you don't listen to the stories. The stories are put up for a reason, to avoid those mistakes. I'm telling you why people only last 30 days. Imagine being a restaurateur and opening a restaurant and starting a restaurant with just enough money. What if no one comes in? What if what if not enough foot traffic frequents the restaurant? How are you going to pay that $5 or $6 or $7 or $10,000 rent in 30 days when you don't have the foot traffic? This is why you need working capital. This is why you need to have 6 months cost of living. Why? Because if you open a restaurant, you may have to invest money into marketing, doing grand opening sales, letting people come in and test certain products for free. Because if you have if you have great dishes, a person may not be, likely to come in not knowing if the food is going to be good or trash or not to spend their money. You might have to let them test it. You may have to allow enough foot traffic to come in and spend money so that they can spread the word of mouth. Oh man, I went into Man's Chicken and Waffles, and man, that chicken was crispy, and the waffles was nice and fluffy. But that word may not spread for 3 or 4 or 5 months, even with you doing the marketing. So you need working capital to be able to cover the cost of the rent, cover the lights, cover the gas, cover the labor, and, cover your cost of living as well. Not necessarily paying yourself, because at that point you're probably not paying yourself, which means you need money to cover your mortgage, cover your rent, cover the things that you have at home. You're spending your time 20 hours or 18 hours a day at this restaurant, but it's not making enough money to be able to pay you yet, so you still have to cover your living expenses. You need working capital. If you start a box truck business like your favorite people tell you with $5,000, and that's all you come in with, what happens if you have a mishap the first day? We've had people come up that on their first load, truck breaks down. We've had people come up on their first load, the rental truck broke down. Well, man, it's a rental truck. They gonna tow it. All right, but if you in the middle of nowhere, now what? That load got to get recovered. Oh, well, they'll bring me another truck. All right, well, what if you in the middle of nowhere? What if you got to sleep in a hotel for a day or two? What if you might have to take an Uber? What if you got to catch a flight? Just because you're in a rental don't mean you won't incur any costs due to a breakdown. We've had people come up with breakdowns and they've had to incur cost. What if you don't get paid? We've had people that come up and didn't understand how factoring works. We've had people that come up and have gotten scammed on their first load because they got a call from a guy saying that they were a broker, this, that, and the third, and they ran. There was 2 or 3 people came up that ran loads that never got paid. One guy said some guy found him on Facebook and he trusted him. There was another guy that came up like 2-3 months ago and somebody just called him out of thin air and he ran with the guy and ran 3 loads and never got paid. I've had a few people come up on calling shows and never got paid their first few loads. One guy, I think he went on Facebook and was just searching for information. Hey, I'm a new, I just got my, you know how y'all do. Y'all get y'all 26-foot box truck. Y'all got to run, tell everybody y'all business. Didn't y'all mama tell y'all don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing? See, some of y'all just got to go tell everybody. Now, I don't think this person went and told people because, you know, he just wanted to let his left hand know what his right hand was doing. I think he went into one of these Facebook groups, from what I can remember, and he was searching for information and he just led, he just opened up with, hey, I just started a box truck business, 26-foot box truck, right? And I think he proceeded with, from what I remember, asking a question. But man, it'd be people lurking in them Facebook groups. It'd be scavengers lurking. Even the guy that came up last year on the Wiseman podcast, the young brother whose truck broke down and the tow was $5,000 and he didn't have the $5,000 to get the truck towed, and he had to call his grandmother to loan him the money because the tow truck wasn't finna tow it unless he came up with that nickel. He said he got scammed from somebody in a Facebook group. So anyway, you got people perusing through them Facebook groups that target people that they see that's on the new. Now imagine being on the new and being gullible and being naive. And this may not be your situation, but it happens. I know it happens because I've had a multitude of people that have come up here and it has happened too. And it's in the content. Imagine running a couple loads and not getting paid and you ain't got no working capital. The guy who had to borrow the $5,000 for his grandmother, he ran a while before he realized he was getting scammed. He just kept giving the dude chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. Go back and look at that live stream. The guy, one of the last clips that I put up, maybe like 2 weeks ago, the guy from Colorado, he got scammed for 3 loads. Tough situation, but guess what? What if you ain't got no working capital? You done. Because you expecting that first payment or that second payment, you on the new and you don't get it, you ain't got no working capital. Once you realize you got scammed, you done. You need working capital. When you new, you need working capital. When you're tenured, a business without working capital, you pretty much don't really have a business. You're one hiccup away from being out of business. Period. You need cash flow. All right. Now, fourth is contingency. And some people look at contingency like working capital, and you can, but working capital is things that I said, things to keep the business going. Contingency is more for the what ifs, the extreme what ifs. If your truck breaks down, I don't consider that contingency reserves. I consider that shit that you would pull from your working capital. Why? The business is earning money. The truck is a workhorse. The truck is a slave for the business. The truck pays itself, right? With cash flow. If the truck breaks down, send it to the shop. That's what you got working capital for. Contingency are for extreme situations. A guy tears the roof off your truck. Insurance doesn't cover it. Why? Because they say, well, that's manual error. We're not covering the top 6 inches of the truck, which some insurance companies won't cover the top 6 inches of the truck. Some will not cover the top 6 inches of the truck. If they do their research and they see that, hey, we just looked at Google Earth. Yo, the sign is right there. 12.2. Your truck is 13 feet. We not paying this. Send the policy. Did you read the declaration? Did you look at the declaration page or wherever they put it at? Policy won't cover the top 6 inches of the truck. And then they don't pay it. Now you got some contingency reserves for situations like this. Depending on the type of roof you got, it could be about $15. Depending on how bad it is. Some cases, some people hit that thing so hard, they might have to just replace the whole box. Now you're looking at 25, 30 maybe. Depends. You know what I'm saying? Depends. If they just went under the thing and they just peeled the roof back like a sardine can, about 15 grand. Ask me how I know. I'm in Chicago. We the intermodal capital. We got viaducts and bridges everywhere. Everywhere. You can't avoid them here. You got to know where you're going. You got to know how to move in this city. So, it happened to me one time. I prayed to the good Lord that it never happened again, and it didn't happen again. Had some situations with some corner caps, had some situations where some guys got to the viaduct to test it, hit it, some corner cap damage. Had some situations where a guy got up and at the last minute realized more corner cap damage. I've had to replace some corner caps, $2,200. Each corner that I've had to replace averages about $2,000. Mm-hmm. That's contingency. It's not something that, working capital will cover it, but for some people, they need contingency money as well. Because $15,000 to somebody, that's why you see a lot of 26-foot trucks parked in people's yards and parked at storage yards where you'll just drive past it for a year or two and you see a whole truck there with just the roof peeled back. Like, damn, why? Because they ain't got the money to fix it and the insurance might not cover it. There are insurance companies that just will not cover it. And it's in the declaration. We will not, if we find out if it's user error, we're not covering out the top 6 inches of the truck. They're going to do their research. You got to remember, it's insurance. They're going to figure out and try to find all the ways to avoid paying a claim. They send us a adjuster out there. They Google down and they see that sign. And it's in your policy that user error, we're not covering the top 6 inches. They're not going to cover it. So what you going to do? You paying $1,500 on a truck a month. You financed it. And one of your drivers them peeled the roof back. You got to have bread. People don't think about this stuff. People don't think about this stuff. You could be from middle America. Some of y'all, when I say viaduct, people be like, what's a viaduct? VIADUCT. Oh man, we got to go to Chicago. First time you sent your driver to Chicago. First time you've been in Chicago. And you don't realize how many viaducts are here. And not all of them are 13.6. We got some that's 10.6, 11, 12.2. Running War, you in here? Where all my Chicago people at? But a lot of y'all like coming here because it's a lot of freight here and it pays really well. But this is where you got to deal with. And if you're not accustomed to it or used to it, you hit one of them. And guess what? Not all of them got markings. Not all of them got markings. So, you got to have money prepared for that. All right. So, boom. Cost of living. Let's just run through it real quick. What do you consider for cost of living? Your rent, right? Or your mortgage. I gave an example with all costs of living included in the $3,000 example that I put up there. And that's very modest. Obviously, if your cost of living is higher, you need to times it times 6. Rent, mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, whether it be your auto insurance, your health insurance. Remember, you quit your job. I see there's a trend going on where there's a lot of guys working and they're telling their wives or their girlfriends not to work. So now someone has to pay for the insurance. For the ones who have girlfriends or wives that still work and you're married, then you can obviously use the spouse's medical benefits if they are in a career that provides it for the family. But like we see, if you watch my channel, it's like more than 75, more than 80% of people come up here, their spouses or their girlfriends or their baby mamas or whatever don't work. A lot of guys don't have health insurance, all right? But you have to factor that into if you're doing things the righteous way, and then miscellaneous discretionary funds. You have to account for all that. And then times it times 6. I used a very modest example here, $3,000. When I be asking people, 3,000, 3,500. A lot of people say they live very modestly. I don't know if that's true, because that seems like a very low number to me. But then again, I'm in a big city where it's costly to live, so I don't know. But a lot of people, when I ask them, they say 3,000, 3,500, 4,000. That don't really sound realistic to me. I don't know. I'm ignorant to the cost of some of these smaller places. But if, whatever your number is, then times it times 6. Some people you might want to times it times 12. The rule of thumb is 6 to 12 months. So it all depends on how quick you're going to be able to turn your business profitable or not. Now, initial startup costs. All right. And, I don't want to I'm going to have to do a hypothetical, but I always like to do a hypothetical based on what I see on average. Most people buy used trucks. All right. Most people buy used trucks. It's very rare that a person gets a new truck. I think the only situation a guy that I've talked to this year wanted to get a new truck was the young man that I spoke to Friday. He thinks his truck is used. 2024 with 88,000 miles is a new truck. All right, to me, $88,000. So used truck person's going to average 30 to 60,000. All right, 30 to 60,000. All right. Can you get a used truck cheaper? Yes, absolutely. I would. But a lot of people fear some of these used trucks that are a little bit cheaper because they don't want to take a mechanic. They don't know they need to take a mechanic. They're worried about other things like breakdowns, so on and so forth. So the average person goes out, spends 30 to 60 bucks. I disagree. Where will his income from if he pays his rent? I disagree. Where will his income come from if he pays his rent? You disagree. Where will his income come from if he pays his rent? What do you mean by that? I disagree. Where will his income come from if he pays his rent? What do you mean? You gotta reiterate what you disagree and what are you talking about, and then I'll be able to expound. Down payment for most new people that we see, because Here's the facts. Where do most people that come into this business, who funds them? Perco, Top Mark. The guy that came up here that they finessed him into leasing the truck, but spoke to him like he was financing it and then put all the lease in the verbiage and he didn't read it. And the whole time he thought he was buying the truck and he was really leasing it. Places like that, right? Because these are people who take risk. Right? So down payment is usually somewhere between 10 and 25%. Don't believe me? Go back and look at the content. I put up plenty of people's finance agreements. I put up finance agreements where the truck was $58,000. By the time they ended up paying, it was $96,000. Person didn't do the math. They didn't read. They saw $58,000. Top Mark was the broker. They sent the deal through whatever company. They did the paperwork. They said, run us this bread, down payment. You're going to pay another 58 payments at $1,605 a month. Me, I would have did $1,605 times 60 because they wanted 2 months up front and realized that I'm going to pay $96,000 for this truck. And then I would have walked away. But some people look at $1,605 and they think, oh, well, my favorite content creator said I'm going to make $10,000 a week. So $1,605 ain't nothing. That's the way they look at it. Instead of looking at it the way I said, all right, let me do the math on this. Whoa, Charlie. Even if they do make that $10,000 weekly or start off making it, that's not going to be consistent. I think a lot of people think business is consistent. Like things are just going to be the same way every single day, every single week, every single month. And there's not going to be no ups and downs. I wish business was like that. I wish life was like that. I wish life was like that, but in the truth of the matter is not. There's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days. Things are going to happen in business, things are going to happen in life. You may get into a car accident. You may have the green light, but because you weren't looking through your peripheral, some guy runs the red light and hits you. Not only does he hit you, he keeps going. Guess what? They can't find the guy as a stolen car, whatever the case may be. Yeah, your insurance will cover it, but now you still got to pay the deductible. Wasn't your fault. But as the bumper sticker says, shit happens. Speaking of shit, you may step in some shit. Somebody may be walking a dog and wasn't a good dog owner and didn't pick it up and you stepped in it. It happens. Those are situations of things that happen in life. Things happen in business. Some of the examples I gave early. You could have a truck and have a driver. Your driver is never going to operate your vehicle like you do. Never. And if they do something, it's going to cost the business. And it's your business. Insurance, down payment. Most people that are coming in, the insurance is about $1,500 a month on average to $2,000. You see some cases where people are paying over $2,000 to $3,000. Those are, rare cases when a guy goes out and gets a new truck and he's young, and those are his variables. But most cases, what I see nowadays, guys coming up paying about $1,500 to $2,000 a month plus the down payment, right? Structuring your business depending on how you do it. A lot of people nowadays, they just don't want to do it themselves. I've seen people pay $500 to $1,000 to get somebody to set it up for them. I mean, you could literally get your articles for 150 bucks, expedited 250 depending on the state. DOT, MC, BOC3, your plates, registration, UCR, all that stuff. Those are costs that you have to incur. Couple grand. Your equipment, couple grand. Materials, about a grand. Shrink wrap, blankets. You know what I'm saying? Tape, low bar straps. I recommend going to CDS or New Haven. I wouldn't recommend going to Home Depot for that stuff. I wouldn't recommend getting that stuff from Uline. Why, Mark? Because, well, Uline is expensive, and Home Depot is charging you the individual retail price. Things like shrink wrap, blankets, I would just go order a bundle from CDS in New Haven. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to spend $20 a blanket when I can go get a dozen for 120 bucks. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to spend $30 for a roll of shrink wrap when I can go get a whole case for 70 bucks. All right. So I would go to places that sell this equipment in volume. I mean, sell these materials in volume, which Uline does, but Uline is very expensive so that you can save, right? All right. So pallet jack, obviously that's gonna run you 300 to 500. Some guy argued with me in the comment section about a month ago, said, man, ain't no pallet jack cost $500. I'm like, bro, where are you looking at? Man, this pallet jack's $600 now, brand new. Back when I was buying pallet jacks, yeah, they was about 250, 300, but now a pallet jack, brand new pallet jack, what, 500 bucks. Your log, if you got more than one truck, you do want to put some tracking software in there. All this stuff costs. So, still to me, I find it hard to wrap my head around and find where this $5,000 is at. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. Notice I didn't talk about rentals. I'm not going to talk about rentals. I'm going to keep rentals as a separate live stream because a lot of the people who do come in with the rental, a lot of the examples that I gave earlier for the first 30 days, those are the guys that rent. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with renting, especially, starting off if that's what you got to do, but you need to be very strategic if you do. You can't come in, listen, a person who comes in renting versus a person who comes in financing, the person who's financing minus the cost of living. Let's take the cost of living out. Just from a business perspective, they already have a higher risk tolerance than the person who's renting. The person who's buying and owning and financing, they have a higher risk tolerance. Because just off the simple fact that they're financing, in most cases, their costs are going to be a little bit lower. A person who's renting, they may not be able to make the same amount of mistakes as the person who's financing, especially if they don't have enough working capital. That's why majority of people that you see come up here with these 30-day stories or 2-week failure stories are usually renters. All right. Every week, Penske and Enterprise or Ryder is hitting them. And that's detrimental to their cash flow. You're spending $800,000-$900,000 a week or whatever the case may be. That's detrimental to your cash flow. And that shit is coming every week. That 7th day, that shit coming out. So for a person who's new, who's still trying to figure things out, shit, 7 days rolling around real quick. Another thing that people don't realize is fuel. Like, I've had people come up here that didn't even have, we've had people that have come up on this show and the call-in show told stories that they've sat places for 4 and 5 days because they didn't have no fuel. We've had guys stranded in Montana. Where was James stranded at? In Idaho or Iowa somewhere? Ran out of money. See, it's easy to talk about this stuff, but when you show real case studies from people that are on the new, that volunteer to come up here and tell their stories, I don't understand why people don't look at those as learning lessons, things to avoid. Some people say, man, Mark, you're trying to scare people from starting. No, I'm not. Whether you start or you don't, it's not going to affect me. I don't understand why people think that, like, I'm trying to prevent, you know, maybe those are people that just find like certain videos and don't go and watch the whole storyline of content. It makes me know, never mind. Not affecting me. And even if we were in direct competition, it wouldn't bother me. You think I would be worried about somebody that's brand spanking new? Of course not. It's to give you a real look on what to avoid. It's the people who just think that they're going to have instant success and is just completely optimistic are the people that fall into these situations. One day I'm going to show you guys my, like, I don't really look at my DMs like that in Instagram. A lot of my DMs are people that are in situations and they need my advice, like current, and hoping that I just happen to get the notification, click on it, and can correspond with them right away. Like when CDL Shorty came up here, he said someone reached out to him. He just so happened to get the notification and was communicating with the guy who, I forgot, what did he break down? And he didn't know what to do. He had to sleep on somebody's couch. I'm not sleeping on no stranger's couch. Are you crazy? You think I'm finna close my eye because some dude who I'm running a box truck for ain't got no money or don't got the knowledge, and I'm just sitting on the side of the road for a day or two till people feel sorry for me in that town? They let me sleep. I'm not sleeping on nobody's couch. You gotta be crazy. But there's people out there in situations like this. This information and that type of content is presented to you to know what you're up against, understand what you're up against, so that you can have a plan in case it happens, right? And two, if it's something that can be prevented, you are learning from someone else's mishaps and now you know what to avoid. It's not to scare you. And if it does scare you, hope it scares some sense into you so that you don't go out here and do what's not in your best interest. I talked the other day about how our parents back in the day used to scare us scare us away from shit. I understand the cultures have changed. I understand the times have changed. The generations have changed. The parents are a lot younger now. They don't have that old school way of, educating and raising their children. Nowadays, parents is partying with their kids. But back in the day, there was a technique that was used where your parents and even your teachers would scare you out of doing things. They would show you the negatives on certain things to kind of scare you so that you can avoid doing certain things. So my intentions aren't to scare you, it's just to give you a real look on what happens out here in the field with other people. If I see someone doing something, he comes up and tells a story, he shows the pictures and things like that, and that's something that was avoidable, something that I didn't think of, and I'm seeing his story. Let me write that down. I'm a new box truck business owner. I'm going to business. Let me write that situation down. I can avoid that. Man, I never thought about. Okay, now I know. Let me avoid that situation. Or you know what? If I get into this situation, now I know what to do. What cost him a lot of money because he had to try different methods or call a bunch of people. Now I know directly who the first. I know who I should call right away on the first call, and what methods need to be taken to correct whatever happened. That's what I'm saying. Learning from each other, learning from people's wins, and learning from people's losses. Working capital, um, 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6 months. I know some people like, man, Mark, this is a lot of money, but this is the rule of thumb for business. I'm gonna give you the cheat code though. Don't worry, it's a cheat code. Whatever your working capital is going to be based off what your monthly costs are. So if your monthly costs are 10 grand estimated, right? 30,000. These are rule of thumb business practices. So it's not something that I'm making up. But there's a cheat code. Don't worry about it. There's a cheat code. We talked about contingency, right? The what ifs. The what ifs that you don't think about, the extreme situations. And even with Final Mile, I'm going to tell you this from a Final Mile perspective. I only filed one claim, and that was for a dock awning, right? And we got dropped. We got dropped. That claim was $55,000. And I've talked about this before. We got dropped. And that was the only claim that I ever filed, right? I guess you can count that lawsuit. I don't know if that would be considered a claim, but that was something that, the insurance company had to pay for, right? Because the legal team that they hired, right? But as far as like an accident claim, something like that, uh, that 55,000, right? Um, Pretty much every single claim that we got as far as damage, whether it was property, right, or whether it was even from the moving side, um, whether it was property or whether if it was the actual goods, was paid out of pocket. It was paid out of pocket. Um, Something that you just understand when you're going into an industry that's high liability. Shit's gonna happen, and you just have to have a plan in place. Handyman, right? So walls and things like that. I had a guy just would send them places. Man, patch and paint, patch and paint, patch and paint. Um, Floors had a company. Um, Items, right? Now, from the Final Mile side, this stuff would obviously go through the store. The store would contact the 3PL, and then the 3PL would contact me, right? Some of those things, they would just deduct. I'd take the hit depending on the situation. Obviously, there was a plan in place, and each employee, upon getting hired, they would sign off. Depending on what the situation is, you break it, you bought it. Now, Rob came up like a year and a half ago on the channel. He talked about how I would handle claims when he worked for me. And, a lot of the claims I did incur the cost on. Why? What a lot of people don't know is when you have commercial insurance, you save your claims for the big stuff, right? That little shit, and some people think like $3 and $4, $5,000 is big. No, that's little. That's little. I had a lady that had a $4,000 door. I had a lady that had a $4,000 door. So I had a claim. One of the last claims I had was for $1,200 for a camera. It was for a building downtown Chicago. Guy was backing into the dock, and like I don't know. I mean, I just wouldn't expect the camera to be that low, but he was backing in. The camera was protruding, and he hit the camera. $1,200. So I'm not gonna file a claim for $1,200. You know what I'm saying? So it's just something that you got to eat. It just is what it is. You just got to keep your claims to a minimum, but you have to have some type of contingency plan, especially if you're coming into something like moving or final mile and you're doing a volume of deliveries of moves. Like you're not going to have a flawless victory every time. Shit's going to happen, even if it's not done negligently. A customer tell you don't worry about shit, and then guess what? It happens. And then they be like, well, you guys are the professionals. I've had guys slip. I've slipped before. You know what I'm saying? Shit happens. Listen, I've had situations where I've slipped. I've made mistakes. I've had situations where I've slipped and I've saved the shit and damaged myself. I've smashed my hands. I've, banged my knee. I've thrown out my shoulder. My shoulder, I'm still paying the cost for this. This shit happened 2.5 years ago. Now, it's me, but what if it was an employee? Workers' comp. So you got to have things in place. A lot of people go into business thinking everything is going to be peaches and cream all the time, and it's not. I had a guy fall through some stairs with a radiator. Shit happens. Now, that one worked out in our favor. Threats were thrown, but I knew how to negotiate us out of that situation because it happened at the owner's home. He was more concerned about the stairs. I was more concerned about my guy. I said, look, I'll worry about my guy. You worry about your stairs. Your house is getting rehabbed. We're here to move the radiators out of your home to take them to the powder coating place. Your stairs are faulty. So you're worried about your stairs, but what about this guy? Yeah, if he sues us, you think he's not going to sue you? You're going to bear the brunt of it. Why? Because it's your property. I'm going to sue you. So do you want to worry about your stairs and let me worry about my guy? Because I can take care of my guy. He said, you know what? You're right. I was able to get out of that one because that one I don't think would have been too bad on us, but I was able to, I wouldn't even say that was a finesse. I just think that was just smart on his behalf to just worry about the stairs and let me worry about the guy. But let's say if it didn't go that way. What did I do for my guy? Sent him to the hospital. Told him to take time off. Paid him. This is business. You have to have, I don't understand why people think don't shit happen. Check this out. If you are running a business and you scale, you get more trucks, you get more workflow coming in, the more work you have, the more opportunities of failure. The more opportunity of something breaking, the more opportunity of something getting damaged, the more opportunity of somebody getting injured. The more you have a footprint out there, the more opportunities for shit to happen. The more money, the more problems. I don't hear nobody talking about this shit though. It's not to like pessimistic, it's what it is. This is why you have to have a plan. You have to have capital set aside. Shout out to Moving Company Hustle. He came into the Discord a few months ago with a situation that, guess what? He's going to be paying out of pocket. I think for the most part. Why? Because we understand that certain things we just got to pay out of pocket. We don't want to run to our insurance company. Commercial insurance is different from personal insurance. A big difference. When we had to file that claim, we were at Grange. Grange didn't renew. I had to deal with Progressive for a year. The most expensive year that I ever paid insurance for any company. They just didn't renew us. They didn't drop us. They just didn't renew us after that situation. Have renewal came up, and my broker didn't have enough time to shop us. So the only place we could go was Progressive for a year. He told me, you're going to have to deal with it for a year. I'm going to start shopping you 60 days out. Policy renewed in June, every June. He started shopping us in April. The next year, he got us up out of there. But that year with Progressive, man. Man, oh man. Shit happens. You got to have money when you're running a business, man. All right, my advice to keep costs down. Buy used trucks. Listen. I know some of your people going to say, don't listen to Mark, buy a new truck. Go ahead and buy you a new truck. I'm not going to, listen, I want to give people my advice, and then I'm going to be able to substantiate what I've done and why I would do certain things. But I'm never going to deter nobody from doing what you want to do. Go ahead and buy a new truck if that's what you want to do. On the new, and you don't know what you're doing. Pay the higher cost to operate as an inexperienced box truck owner operator, and no matter what you're doing. Final mile, middle mile, whatever. Do your thing. Me, I'm going to look for a well-maintained, used piece of equipment. Why? Because I'm going to spend less money for it. It's going to cost me less to operate. My insurance is going to be lower. And I understand that I have to compete. So I have to keep my costs as low as possible. And this is one of the ways I would do it. Start lean. Cut out all the unnecessary expenses. Make sure I got enough money to start while I'm conquering this learning curve. Master one truck. This is for the people who want to come in with a 26-foot box truck. We already talked about things to think about from a cost perspective, which I know a lot of this shit is going to go in one ear and out the other. But hey, master one truck. If you do come in, don't try to scale too quickly. The answer that you may be looking for is not scale. A lot of people come in and they're not profitable with the first truck. And for some, I don't know why people think, well, if I go get a second truck, then, that'll make up for what I'm losing the first truck. No, it won't. You're just going to duplicate whatever you're doing with the first truck. Like, what do you think you're going to do with the second truck? You think it's just going to the second truck is going to magically figure out how to be profitable? Whatever you do with the second truck, you're going to duplicate what you're doing with the first truck. If you're failing with the first truck, you're just going to duplicate that failure. If you found a way to succeed and be profitable with the first truck, then you're going to duplicate that. There's no such thing as failure and then second truck is profit. That doesn't even make sense. Master the first truck. If you're struggling with the first truck, then scale is not the answer. And I don't know why every year I get a multitude of people that think that's the answer. Some people come to me and ask me prior to doing it, and I tell them what I'm just telling you. Some people come to me after they did it. And like, I swear for God, there was somebody in the Discord literally 2.5 months ago, and the people were in there. It was like 30 people in that voice room that was crying tears. I didn't make that person cry. I told that person the truth. Why would you go out and invest in 3 more trucks when you were not making money in the first truck? Well, I thought that the second truck was going to make money. Okay, but it didn't. Then you went out and bought a third, thinking that the third was going to make money, even though the first 2 weren't. And then you went out and bought a fourth, and then the guy is holding your deposit, won't even give you the truck. So the fourth truck, you put 10 grand down, and you don't even have the truck because the guy won't release it to you for whatever reason. I don't know. A lot of the stuff, scenarios that I talk about, don't even come from the channel. They come from other platforms that I speak on. And then the person literally started bawling tears because I said, listen, the reason why you're struggling is because you have 4 trucks that are not making money. The second and third, that 4 truck is duplicating what you were doing in the first truck. It's just like, I'm telling you, when I say balling, I said, you need to take you're running out of cash flow. You have to sustain 4 trucks that you don't even know what to do with. You haven't mastered one. Pippi was in there. Pippi was in there that day. She cried tears and still didn't listen. See, that's the thing. People come to you, you give them the truth, the harsh reality, and then they go crash out. That person didn't hate, she hated how could you tell me to just give up? Lady, you don't have any more money. What she thought was enough is just not enough to sustain 4 trucks. It's people that can't even sustain 1 truck with what she had. And her situation was similar to a lot of the other people. She had 3 under 3. 3 under 3. So that means she had them back to back to back. I was looking out for the best interests of her and those 3 babies. And her not having help and 4 trucks. Men. You know what, a lot of women that do hit me up behind the scene, you know what their biggest issue is? Because a lot of the people that they have to hire are men. I mean, do I need to expound? A lot of women that come to me, they have trouble with the men that they hire. The men don't really respect them. It's like an issue that, and I understand why they're having the issue. So, I gave her the truth. I even told her about that, You're a woman, you're hiring men that are truckers, they're going to look at you a certain type of way. It's unfortunate. It shouldn't be like that, but this is reality. You're not the first woman that has had this issue that's come to me in private. It's going to be tougher for you versus if you were a man running this business. Big part of the reason you're having the issues that you're having is because you're a woman. So it's just unfortunate, but it is what it is. But that was an example of a person who didn't master 1 truck. master one truck, figure out a way to be profitable in one truck, and then when the time permits itself, then duplicate. Another way you can cut costs is doing things yourself. Certain things you can do yourself. You know, there's certain things that I always used to do myself. I talked about before. I always power wash my own trucks. It got to a point where, as my fleet grew, I'm like, bro, I'm not finna keep sending these trucks to. I used to send my trucks to a place on Indianapolis Boulevard, in Indiana, Blue Beacon, and I just said, bro, I'm gonna go get a power wash and do this shit myself. And that's what I did. That was one way I cut down on costs, and there's some other things I've done to cut down on costs. Things that you can do yourself, do them yourself. Now, here's the silver lining for the people who are like, man, Mark, if I go with this traditional way of starting a business, I'm gonna have to have a lot of money. Okay. Some people get lucky. Some people can start with, very minimal money and figure things out. But that's a minimal. That number is minute, and statistics prove it. That's why majority of the people that come in, the failure to success rate is like night and day. It's not even close. And the success rate is the minority. The majority is the failure rate, and it's not even close. The failure rate is just high in business in general, but in this industry, it's day and night. And this is the type of questions that I get. I don't know if this is a troll question or like, do you really mean this question, or are you trolling me? Seriously. And you know what, Mark? Calm down. Calm down, Mark. Not all of us are from the same walk of life. You got some people that are entitled, and I'm not saying this is you. You got some people that are come from affluent backgrounds and entitled. You got some people that are been poor or po. You got people that come from different walks of life and they just have different mentalities on how they look at things. That's something that I have to work on, especially, creating content. Because some things that I look at like this and I'm like, are you serious right now? But this person really might mean this. And that doesn't mean that this person is a bad person. I mean, we just have two different mindsets. I gave an example of 2K left. I'm saying, why would he pay his rent with 2K left? Well, what should he do with the money? Invest into the box truck, pay the rental, and hope that the following week he makes money and then be late on his rent? Because that's the only other option. Those are the two options. Either pay your rent or let them take that $1,000 out. Now you ain't got enough to pay rent, so now you late on your rent. And now you're running a 50-50 chance that this week is going to be profitable for you enough to pay your back rent plus the late fee. Because after 5 days, or you run and you have another week where you're still trying to master this learning curve and you're operating at a loss because you've already drained the money you had. Now you drained even more money. And now you don't have any money to pay your rent or to even rent the truck for another week. So would I rather have a roof over my head for another month, go out, work me a job, do whatever I got to do so that I can keep that roof over my head, or run the risk of having the same repeat that I've had for the past 3 weeks and have to face the woman at home and this newborn that's not even 3 months old and say, listen, we got to pack up. I don't know where we finna go, but I ain't got the rent. So I don't understand. Like to me, but no. Me, listen. If it's rent or whatever, it's rent. I'm gonna have a roof over my head. That's gonna give me 30 days to figure some shit out. I'm a hustler. I'm not gonna risk not having a roof over my head, let alone with a newborn baby. Like I don't even understand. Mark, calm down, Mark, calm down. I don't even understand how that's even a calm down, Mark. Calm down. If there's a child involved, especially an infant, how is that even a question? Like, how is that even a question? Like, where are we at in society that, see, that type of shit bothers me. That bothers me. That we're the place in society that people are really, like, that is even a question. You got a brand new newborn. Like, it's over with. Like, where are we at with it, bruh? Like, for real? And I get it. If you believe that, man, cool, bro. Like that shit ain't even like, come on. I ain't never been homeless before. And don't wanna be. The moment a child is in the picture, the risk tolerance goes down. Because you have to think about that. And this is what a lot of people not thinking about. It's crazy to me people come up here with no money and willing to quit their job with these babies and take the risk. And then I get flack for telling them, helping them measure their risk tolerance. Oh, you crushing this dream. And then I have to tell these people, all right, well, go listen to them. And then if you don't figure it out in the first 30 days, the same people that's sending you off, see if they're going to put you up for 30 days. Don't come to me because I told you you ain't got enough money. You need to think about these little kids. You ain't got enough saved up. You got to think about the what if. Don't ask me for nothing. Go ask them people that's willing to tell you go follow your dreams, even though you ain't got enough. Your risk tolerance. All right. Me personally, I got 4 little kids at the crib, 1 little baby. Bro, ain't no way I'm going to put with limited capital. I'm down to my last, and it's either rent or man, let me just try 1 more week. Let me take this 2,000. Penske finna take 1,000. Man, that's a gamble, bro. That's just like taking that 2,000 and going to the casino. It's still wrong. I don't understand this question, bro. I don't understand this. Why would he pay his rent with 2K left? Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? I just don't get it, bro. I'm not the type of person that's finna sit up here just because I create box truck content. I'm not going to just always be pro box truck. I know all your favorite people will, and I know it's not a lot of reality out there, but I'm telling you what I would do. There's no way in hell. Man, let me tell you this. Let me put me up on the big screen. Listen, there's no way in hell, even with no kids and a higher risk tolerance, am I taking that risk? I'd rather take 30 days than gamble 1 week with a 50-50 chance If I can prevent myself from sleeping on a goddamn it bench or in a shelter, if you can even get in the shelter. From my understanding, the shelters is overcrowded. That's why you got tent cities popping up all over the place. Can't even get in the shelter no more. I'm gonna go for the roof over my head. Listen, sometimes it's sometimes you just gotta walk away. And there's times when you walk away in the green or in the black, and sometimes you walk away in the red. Sometimes you just gotta know when to walk away. And this is not being pessimistic, this is being optimistic. I keep telling y'all, there's a lot more to business than what y'all think. It's not always about, like, you have to be able to solve problems. I talked about the other day. And unfortunately, this is a problem that a lot of people face. Like, if you watch my channel, look at the scenarios that come up here. Why do you think all these guys that come up here all have similar situations? Because one, they don't have nobody else to talk to. A lot of these guys that come up here with these kids and their girlfriends and their wives don't work and they have little money, they don't really be looking for business advice. They be looking for advice from a person, just life advice, because they don't have nobody to talk to. Look at the one shorty that came up here about a month or a half or 2 months ago. He was finna go blow his little money because he followed somebody and somebody finna send him up a river. And then when I talked to him and I explained things to him, he said, "Man, Mark, I just glad I found your channel. I didn't really have nobody to talk to. No one wants to talk to me. Everybody wants me to pay this and pay that, which is fine. But he was finna go blow his little money that he had saved up. I think it was like $4,000 on a rental truck or whatever it was. And he lacked the basic knowledge to even probably last 2-3 weeks. I can't even believe I gotta sit up here and talk about, like, to me, and this ain't to him, this is, I just don't understand, bro. Like, I don't even understand why I even have to, like, I'm saying, why would he pay his rent? Well, what would he do? What would he do? I don't understand this. Is this a real question? Like, this is where we at with it in 20 going into 2020 finna? And this person been around the channel. I've seen this person before. I don't think they're a troll, or at least I can't remember if they're a troll or not. So I'm assuming this is a legitimate question. Bro, I'm gonna go sleep on. I'm finna go home. $2,000. I'm going home. Listen. I'm gonna tell you what I would do. I'm down to my last $2. I got my woman at the crib and I got the newborn baby like Buddy ass did for the situation we have. I'm going home. I got a car, something, we got to go Uber, Lyft, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Roadie, whatever we got to do, whatever we need to go do. We need to go door to door and cut grass, shovel snow, shovel shit. Excuse me. At the end of the day, once you bring a child into this world, you no longer, in your priorities and what you got going on, like, you're not living for you no more. You living for the kids. So your decisions have to, you have to have that child in mind. That child is innocent. It's dependent on you. You can't make illegitimate bad decisions. Like, bro, what type of question is that? Like, people is that Let me see if it's another question, bro. I can't. Yeah, the 18 with the vision board. That's not the guy with the baby, but the one that I just used him for an example too. But that ain't the one who had the baby. The baby guy was like 3 months ago, maybe four. I think that was like in September. Um. All right, so let me give you the silver lining then, and then I got to get out of here, man. That shit blew me right there. I ain't finna hold you, because I don't know if the person trolling or not trolling, or like I don't like, bro. Some of this shit, like that shit don't make sense. Like 2025, certain things I'm just not tolerating no more, bro. You know what I'm saying? All right, so here's the silver lining. You know how you curve all of this? If you ain't got the money, listen, if you ain't got the money and you want to do things the right way, if you want to come in on the low because your favorite person tells you can come in $5,000, go ahead, be my guest. All right, I ain't telling you what to do, but if you want to come in the right way and you like, you know what, Mark, this all makes sense, then you have to start from humble beginnings. That's just the answer, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't understand why people just want to. I don't understand why people want, you know, to start at the top. Like I don't like. Listen. If you don't got the money, you want to do things the right way. You need to start from humble beginnings. Well, what is humble beginnings? Start with what you have. Majority of the people that start from humble beginnings, that start what they have, they win. Not everybody has the cash flow and the business acumen to be able to start a legitimate business with enough capital. Not everybody has that. We've had people that have come up that have had the money and haven't succeeded. There was a guy who came up a few weeks ago, had $50,000, blew it all. 5 kids and a wife. What was his saving grace? His wife still works. If his wife didn't still work and he was like some of these young boys that come up here, his wife works. So there's the health insurance. There, that's a layer and a sense of security just in case the what if. And guess what? He was met with the what if. But his wife still works, even to this day. A lot of people don't have that sense of security as far as that additional income stream coming in. This was a guy, 50 years old, think he left his job, pulled out his pension early, paid the penalty, went through 50. Start from humble beginnings. Start with what you have, learn and grow. As you learn, you grow, the income grows, you put that income to the side and you grow. That's the and to be honest, that's not even a cheat code. That's just the way, if you don't have the resources, then that's the only option. It's just people just want this instant gratification because they want to take this picture and post it on Instagram and say hashtag new business owner or hashtag box truck business owner, and then we see 3 months later or a year later or 30 days later, for every 10 people that we see post that picture like this on their Penske, on their ride or their Enterprise, or even on a truck that they finance, Out of 10, only one makes it. Majority of people that start with what they have win. Sometimes you just have to face reality and look at your situation for what it is. I ain't got it. I ain't got it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Use that as motivation and fuel to go get it. Start with what you have and work your way up and out of that shit. I'm not going to never put myself in a situation that's going to allow me to be homeless. Just not going to do it. If it's something and I can't, if I got to leverage, if it's something that risky where it could cost me a roof over my head, I'm just not going to do it. It's just something I'm going to have to go without. Certain risks I'm just not going to do. So, start with what you have, work your way up. It's okay. It's people out here. I do one every year. Box truck dreams and cargo van money. Oh, I want a cargo van because you look down on it. Well, that's probably where you need to start anyway. So, because that's what you can afford and you can learn. Some of you can start with your car running for US Pack or T Force. And some of these other companies doing some dedicated runs. They got dedicated runs, these logistics companies, out of your car. They got medical runs that you can do. Of course, it's not going to pay like a 26-foot box truck. But you're learning, you're working your way up. Your first car that you ever bought when you were in your late teens or early 20s wasn't an S Series Benz. It's very rare that you see a young kid driving an S Series Benz. You usually see older people driving them. And if you do see someone young, maybe 30s, some type of person who comes from entitlement or just someone who has a successful business at that point. But you might start with a starter car. I know my first car was a 86 Oldsmobile 88. Paid $700 for it. Why? Because that's what I could afford. Started with what I could afford. And I loved that car. Why? Because it was my first car. And I was proud that I was able to go out and buy it. I started with what I had. I worked my way up to being able to buy what I wanted. That's why starter homes exist. Not everybody can go out and buy $1 million home. Some people's homes be $150,000, $180,000. Then as they grow in their career and their family grows, and because they're growing their career, they're making more money, and then they can go out and buy a more expensive, larger home. There's people that go out because they can. They become house poor and lose their homes. There's people that go out and buy Hellcats and lose their Hellcats because they can't afford a $93,000 car. But they go out and buy it because they got to have a Hellcat. They get approved some type of way and they can't keep up with the notes. You see a lot going on. There's a lot of Hellcats getting repossessed right now. Why? Because they couldn't afford it in the first place. Same thing in business. You gotta have the money to sustain a business and your cost of living. I tell people, yo, stay at home. Not everybody's in a position to stay at home. If you got a family, we got one guy that came up that got his family living in his parents' home. But even talking to that kid, like it was going in one ear and out the other. Not everybody's in that even that situation to do or can go back to that situation. That's where the sacrifices come in when you're starting a business. A lot of people ain't willing to make the sacrifice. You worried about what people gonna say about you and this, that, and the third. Man, if you if you worry about what people gonna say about you, then business should be the last thing you should be thinking about. Start with what you got. Yeah, you ain't gonna get that instant gratification that you thought you was gonna get when you get the 26-foot box truck. But I'm here to tell you that a lot of people that get a 26-foot box truck don't get that instant gratification anyway. Start with what you have. Be patient. Work your way up. You'll appreciate it more. And that's the cheat code. It's not even difficult. It's just what it is. It's simple. It's a simple cheat code by starting what you have, starting with delayed gratification, humble beginnings, and working your way up. We have 140 some people in here. We got 110. Now, hit the like button. And that's it. I started with what I had. I didn't have 26-foot box truck money. You dig what I'm saying? And by the grace of God, I didn't, because I would have thinking about my first things that I did. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I'm grateful God put me in the situation that I was in, and the way things went for me, I think they should go like that for everybody. I think people should start with nothing and grow. Period. Like everybody can't be pushing the Bankley at 20 some years old. You might not be able to push a Bankley. You might not be able to push a Bankley at 30 something. You may not never push a Bankley. I don't say Bentley, I say Bankley. You know what I'm saying? What's in what you think you want may be in the cards for you, may not be in the cards for you. You know? You got to work with what you got. And I can say this a million different ways, and guess what? Only 1 out of 10 people gonna get it. I'm thinking of 4 content creators right now, myself included. Only one started with a 26-foot box truck and still out here. I'm thinking of 4, myself included. One started with a 26-foot box truck. The other 3 started from humble beginnings. The one who started with a 26-foot box truck started during the pandemic. I think, he was able to leverage his influence on social media. And I don't know personally, but I believe his spouse works a career job. So there's a level of security there. But even with him starting with a 26-foot box truck, the first truck he bought was only 10 grand. from what I can remember from following that content. The other three guys, myself included, started from very humble beginnings. And I'm just thinking of four. I mean, these are just four people that I know their backstory from either talking to them personally or watching their content. Just thinking of some random people that's crossing my head right now that created content that is no longer in the space from watching their content that started like a lot of the people that still come into this business now and start. And their short-lived journey is a reflection of the type of content and the misinformation that they perpetuated. And there's people that still go back and watch that old content. And I'm thinking on YouTube. I don't frequent Instagram. I don't know what goes on over there. I don't really care for Instagram. I'm, you know, I'm an older person, so Instagram is for more for younger people. I do have an idea that there's a lot of misleading going on over there, but there's a reason why those tactics work over there, and you don't really see it over on YouTube. Over on YouTube, it's a different demographic. There are some BS people on YouTube as far as viewership, but for the majority point, whether it's a person who's watching content on YouTube with good intentions or not, there's still a level of some maturity, even for the people that come in and they hate and they get mad or they have grievances or disagree. I'm still a straightforward person. There's still a level of maturity there. Even some of the troll that you see, you can tell it's still coming from some type of level of maturity, and it's just maybe just a dislike or a disdain for whatever the reason may be. The shit that I see when I do go over there and when people post shit, like the shit is just purity ignorance to the point where it's comical. But there's a reason why it's so prevalent over there, because if you look at the demographic, the age demographic, it's a demographic of individuals who want instant gratification and they don't have an issue with being misled. They're looking for instant gratification. It's a younger demographic. And all those people that come over here when they find my channel that they want to come over to this side, and then you say, Mark, you being tough on the young brother. Why don't you go over there and talk to the people that misled them in the first place? Because they all have the same story. They found someone over there that sold them the dream, and then they have to come over here and get the reality from the OGs. Now, out of the four people that I'm thinking about, I think one maybe not be 40, but maybe pushing close to 40. But everybody else is 40, and I think one just hit 50. And the one that hit 50, I don't really necessarily agree with everything that individual says. But what I can say is that sense of security that a lot of people don't have, he has it. Plus other streams of income to support and or supported that learning curve when he first got started. And then even with that, because of the influence, he's probably getting shit handed to him that y'all can't get. You know why? Because I get a lot of those same emails and calls. It just doesn't benefit me because he's active and I'm not. But everybody else, they bit the same bullet based off the information that they gave that people are following even to today. So I say that to say this. Those three guys, and I'm thinking about me included, all started from humble beginnings and worked their way up. Now look at those three guys and compare from content creators whether they came, went, or still around fair weather or whatever in the past 3 years. It fits the same. It fits the statistic. See, the numbers are going to always be truthful. What's known don't need to be explained. And even with that, we may not agree. But you always have to give credit where credit is due. We may disagree on economics and things and shit like that. But the starts with something similar. And there may be times of struggle. But because of the start, from humble beginnings and working your way up, you have a knowledge base, you have relationships, you have an understanding on how to maneuver, which is why said individuals are still around, and you see, and they've documented, even if they weren't creating content at that time, they can go back and show you pictures of their growth. Be included. Now compare that to the ones that popped up and disappeared. Big difference. Big difference. So, all right, man. I think I'm gonna take maybe a question or two, and then I'm done. I got some stuff I gotta get together. We Carry Freight says, bro, I paid 6 months rent ahead, had 10K cash, a cargo van, still barely made it through the learning curve. This is what is credit responded to. He said exactly. It is credit. Why you didn't respond to me on my answer on why he should pay his rent? I want to know why you think he should have paid his rent, and how that little 3-month-old, 2-month-old out in the streets in the cold. Why you think he should have why you think he should have thought about not paying the rent and had that little 2-month, 3-month baby out in the cold? Oh, why was that even an option? Come on, Is Credit. Don't get quiet on me now. I want to know. Misleading people are just selling dreams to people with their guard down. Some people here, and unfortunate thing is, it's a bunch of young people. We see them come up because they come over here and they come from over there and then they come over here, and then I catch the flack for putting my belt to them. It is what it is. Listen, hey, listen. This is why they avoid the realism, because they want the instant gratification. Social media has messed people up in a lot of ways. It's done some good, but it's also done a lot of harm too. I think social media can be I think, you have to be able to decipher, you know, real from not real, or whatever the case may be, because what I'm starting to understand is that, and I'm older, and this is all new for me too, and like I gotta learn things, social media, just to understand it, is that some people just look at it as content. They don't even look at it as misleading. They like, look, I'm putting out content. It's up for a person to go do their due diligence. Not everybody's going to be experienced as a guy like me. Not everybody is going to be as detailed. Not everybody is going to be as, I don't even know if I can, is invested into a person's, just invested into a person's decisions, right? Whether they make a good decision, business decision overall for the good of the business and the good for their family. Like some people, they're just gonna look at it. Look, I bought this off Fiverr. I paid $10, $20 for it. I'm gonna brand it with my branding. I'm gonna go get a Sam cart. I'm gonna sell it, which is nothing wrong with that, but they may not go into detail. They may have someone pay a coaching session. They may be met with some of the scenarios that you see that I'm met with. And a person's paying them. Now, are they going to tell them, yo, I think in your situation, you might want to revisit this maybe a year later or 6 months later? No, they're going to just tell them the information based on what they called up for. They'll hear this story, this scenario, but not everybody's going to be morally involved or ethically involved or just, hey brother, you know what? I appreciate the 30 minutes you just invested, but just listening to what you're saying, I don't think this is the right time for you. And then substantiate why. Me, I'm just like that. Why? Because one, the last thing I want is a person coming back to me saying, yo, you told me to do this and I failed and now I'm homeless and my baby is like, bro, I can't, nah, bro, I can't. Mm-mm, mm-mm. So not everybody, you're not gonna get that from everybody. So it is what it is. And they don't necessarily they don't have to do it. They're selling a product. They don't have to be invested into a personal situation. They literally don't have to be. So it's really not a bad thing. They're selling a product. Whether they are, have tenure and experience or not, it's a product. Person who's buying a product has to understand, what they're investing in when they look for hiring consulting. You pay your taxes, you pay somebody to consult you. It's going to be itemized by your accountant under consulting fees. All right. It's your responsibility to make sure that you're hiring the correct firm, right? When you go talk to your CPA, you want to make sure you hire a CPA that's just not going to be like a robot and do your taxes. You want to hire someone, especially if you got them on a monthly subscription because they're doing your payroll and shit like that. You're paying them 150, 200, 250, $300 a month. Yo, listen, I gotta buy a car. What's the best way to go about it? Well, you're making this much money. This could be a good write-off. I think you should lease the car. Lease a car somewhere between 100 to 200,000. The business can afford it. Lease it under the business. It'll be a good tax write. We can write up the lease. We can write up the fuel. We can write up the depreciation, so on and so forth. Blah blah blah. Not a person that you can go to and they're just a robot. They only do your taxes and that's it. This is a person who wants you to win, and when you do some shit that's stupid without consulting them, they're gonna hold you accountable. My accountant used to hold me accountable when I first hired him, and I didn't know that he was gonna be invested to the well-being of my business and myself. No, you shouldn't have did that. Next time, call me first. Matter of fact, before you make any purchases, just call me. We want to make sure that you are, doing things the right way. We don't want to get the government too much money. If we can write said things off, let's write them off. And you may have some CPAs that may not care. That's your decision. That's why my CPA and my broker were referrals. The person who referred me, my broker is the same person who referred my CPA. It's a person who's in business here in Chicago, a couple successful stores, and I went to him for advice, and he referred me to his insurance broker, and he referred me to his CPA. So I never had to go out and look for these things. So I was blessed. But your consultant should be, want your best. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's not in their best interest always to tell you the truth, right? Because they want you to struggle because it's financially benefiting for them to keep for you to keep coming back. So I understand it. It's up to you to understand that. And this is where this comes in at. You know what I mean? So, all right. That's why it's paramount to have a solid FA CPA for your business. Exactly. I think a lot of people should just have a CPA and FA. But I understand a lot of people can't really afford it, but I think it's a great investment to have. I think if you can afford it, something that's your business is going to write off, I think you should get it. All right. All right. I think this was a very productive live stream. I think I'm going to go ahead and end it. People are just too sensitive and don't want to listen to logical response based on factors. People just want someone to tell them lies. I believe that too. That's something that I learned this year as the channel grew exponentially this year and, got more, visibility. I see even I get faced with challenges based on my outlook on business. And I came to the realization that some people just want to be misled. Some people, it is what it is. Peter has a question. I come on, Peter, because I got to use the bathroom. I got to pee. That's another reason I'm getting off here. I got to pee. Well, I took another sip. Shout out to Beat. Shout out to Running Warrior. Shout out to Tony, Mr. Tony. Mr. Tony Beats Fonzo. Come on, Peter, with that question. I'm probably jumping to Discord for a minute. And do I want to hit the gym? Today, free day at the gym. Today is LA Fitness's free day where they let everybody come for free so that they can get them with that New Year's resolution shit. Maybe I shouldn't go to the gym. Probably gonna be too crowded. So I want to start a plum. Come on, man. Don't. Hey, Pippi, because I don't know. This don't look like it's finna go the way I want it to go. All right, Peter. All right, I'm gone. Catch me in the Discord in about 10, 15 minutes. Peace.